Good evening, West Coast, Berbice, New Amsterdam, and of course, right here on the quarantine coast. Welcome once again to another program of Issues in the News. And I welcome also my Facebook friends and followers who have been very loyal to this program over the past month or so, or rather, over the past several months. And I want to say that it's a pleasure to be here with you once again as we are beginning our discussions of yet another program. I want to commence by extending Navratri greetings to all Guyanese and to Hindus everywhere, right across Guyana as well as the diaspora. These 9 nights and 9 days of prayers and worship to Mother Durga is a very essential part of our religion, and I hope as you offer your prayers that all your wishes may come true, that God, Mother Durga, blesses you with health, strength, prosperity, and happiness in your life. So, Navratri greetings to one and all. I want to also take this opportunity to extend my deep gratitude and the deep gratitude of the People's Progressive Party to all of you who attended the massive ceremony that we had at Babujan earlier this month. I know that you were there in your thousands to listen and be part of that significant event to commemorate the 100th birth anniversary of Dr. Cheddi Jagan, the father of our nation. And I met so many of you there. It was a very, very satisfying experience to hear you say how many of you are looking at the program and how many of you are enjoying the program. You know, sometimes it's rather difficult to drive all the way from Georgetown to Quarantine once weekly to do this program. But when I see the number of people and when I realize the thousands of you who are looking at this program and who depend upon this program for your information, it makes the sacrifice worth it. And whatever tiredness I feel sometimes when I remember how many of you are depending on this program for your information, it energizes me to get here on time. I will be joined by Regional 5 Chairman, Mr. Vic Chand. He is on his way, he's running a little late, so he will join me in due course, but I'll commence the discussions. As you know, a lot of things are going on in the country. The coalition government seems to be falling apart, and you must have observed that in the press. As you know, the coalition took over the city council. They went to the local government elections as a singular slate, and they contested those elections. And under the arrangement which they have had, the AFC was supposed to get the position of deputy mayor and the PNC the mayor position. Well, after the elections, the PNC took the mayor position, and the AFC took the deputy mayor position. Well, 1 year after those elections, you know those elections have to be held. Elections for mayor and deputy mayor are held annually. And this year, 1 year after the elections, as they went to the next elections, the AFC was booted out. The PNC took both the mayor and deputy mayor position at Georgetown City Council. So the AFC essentially is out of the seat of deputy mayor, and the arrangement which they had of the AFC occupying the position of deputy mayor and the PNC occupying the position of mayor, that position no longer obtains. And that is a significant piece of evidence to suggest that the coalition is, rather cracks are emerging in the coalition arrangement. You would also observe that under the Hermanston Accord, the PNC is supposed to take the presidency of the country, and the AFC is supposed to take the prime ministerial position. That is what they agreed to under the Hermanston Accord. Of course, the prime minister was supposed to chair the cabinet, as you would recall, as is provided for by the Hermanston Accord. Sorry, I keep saying Hermanston Accord. Sorry. Commingsborg Accord, my apology. So under the Commingsborg Accord, the president is supposed to come from the PNC and the prime minister from the AFC. So Mr. Granger is the president and Mr. Nagamootoo is the prime minister. Of course, the prime minister, Mr. Nagamootoo, was also promised the agriculture ministry. He never got that. He was promised also to chair cabinet. He never got that, never chaired cabinet, because the constitution provides that the chairman of cabinet is the president. I don't know how myopic the lawyers are in the Alliance for Change that they couldn't realize or they didn't realize that the constitution itself provides who shall chair the cabinet, and no accord, no agreement can be inconsistent with the constitution. So, though they signed the Commingsborg Accord, Mr. Nagamootoo has never been able to chair cabinet, because if he's allowed to chair cabinet, then the constitution will be violated. So that is something in the Hermanston Accord that never came forth. But most significantly, Mr. Nagamootoo, as you know, is on medical leave. He had to undergo a heart surgery, and he has not been in the country for the past 2 months. Well, that position, in accordance with the Hermanston Accord, is supposed to be filled by another AFC person. One would have expected that Kemraj Ramjatan, who is the second vice president, rather the third vice president, he would have, being the highest ranking member of the AFC, he would have replaced Mr. Nagamootoo as acting prime minister. But no, the acting prime minister has been Mr. Carl Greenidge. The acting prime minister has been Mr. Carl Greenidge. Mr. Ramjatan only gets to act as acting prime minister when Mr. Greenidge is no longer there. So right there you have another violation of the Commingsborg Accord, because if Nagamootoo is not there, the second highest ranking or the next highest ranking member of the AFC is supposed to take that position, because the prime ministerial position, according to the Commingsborg Accord, is reserved for the AFC. So if Mr. Nagamootoo is not there, then another AFC person is supposed to be substituted in his stead. And that second person, as I said, should be the next highest ranked person, AFC person in the government. And that person is Mr. Kemraj Ramjatan. He is the third vice president. But he has to await on the availability of Mr. Carl Greenidge, because Mr. Carl Greenidge has been appointed to act as acting prime minister. So the AFC is slowly losing its position in the coalition government. And then you have the WPA now announcing publicly that they are considering whether they want to remain in the coalition. As you know, one of the leaders of the WPA, Dr. David Hines, who writes a column for the Chronicle, along with Mr. Lincoln Lewis, have both been booted out of the Chronicle. simply because they write critical of the government. Of course, they don't write complimentary of the PPP, but they are critical of the government. Now, as I've been saying from the inception, the PNC is an inherently authoritarian organization, and an authoritarian organization cannot tolerate criticism. That is their nature. Dictators cannot tolerate criticism. They cannot entertain in their heads the idea that someone can be on their side and be critical of them. So when Lincoln Lewis writes and Dr. David Hines writes, and they write critical of the PNC, they are thrown out. It is the same principle that does not allow the PNC to exist for any protracted period of time in any partnership or any coalition, because it is not in the nature of an authoritarian organization to coexist in parity and in equality with any other organization. It is the nature of the authoritarian to dominate and to take up all the available space. And that is why you see this constant battle between the AFC and the PNC, and now the WPA and the PNC. You would recall that on the death anniversary of Dr. Walter Rodney was the occasion that the PNC used to knock off Dr. Rupert Rupnaraine, the leader of the WPA, from being Minister of Education. And they handed over that important, huge ministry to Nicolette Henry, who has been a walking disaster since. This is the woman who does not know the difference between Pagwa and Diwali, and that is why they are calling her Pagwali. This is the woman who cannot spell quarantine, and she is still in school, as you know. We must be the only country in the world where our education minister is still a student. That is the person that they removed the Ministry of Education from Rupert Rupnaraine and give it to. Dr. Rupert Rupnaraine, whether you like him or not, is one of the most educated person in this country. He has a double PhD from Cambridge and I believe Harvard as well, and he has been an educator his entire life. On Walter Rodney's death anniversary, this government knocked him off without a word of consultation with the WPA. In fact, they have refused to consult with the WPA since, and this horrible occurrence took place some 1 year ago. Today, if you read the newspapers, you will see that the WPA now, through its current leadership, is questioning whether they want to remain in the coalition any longer, because they are treated as a doormat. They are treated with disregard and utter contempt and disrespect by the PNC. But that is the nature of an authoritarian movement. So you cannot expect better from the PNC. I read an article in the newspaper where one writer equated the relationship between the AFC and the WPA to that of the frog and the scorpion. When the scorpion wanted, the frog wanted the scorpion to take it across the river. And the frog said, you know, and you know the story, the scorpion bit the frog, because that is what the scorpion knows how to do, knows to do. The scorpion doesn't know any other thing. And so you have that taking place at the level of the coalition. So it is slowly being ripped apart as time goes. You will also note that the president and Mr. Raphael Trotman one does not know what position he holds now. They together are in Brazil. Now, this is a simple water conference. I don't know what the president is doing at a water conference, quite frankly. There is a minister who holds responsibility for water. There are public servants who head, there is Van Wijs, who is the head of GWI. I don't know why the president of a country should attend a conference on water. But the president is in Brazil attending this water conference, and he chooses Raphael Trotman to go with him. I don't know what position, as I said, Raphael Trotman holds in the government any longer, because as you're aware, he's no longer the Minister of Natural Resources, having regard to his disastrous handling of the contract with ExxonMobil. But you would recall the last time the President and Raphael Trotman traveled together, it was a long time ago, 2007 or 2008, I think, where they went to Nassau, Bahamas, and they struck a deal. No one knew about it. It was only during the last local government elections, when Mr. Trotman was speaking to a crowd in Bartica, that he disclosed that himself and Mr. David Granger met in Nassau, Bahamas, 10 years or so prior to 2015, and they entered into an agreement. What the terms of that agreement are, we are not aware. They never disclosed it, except to say that when the GCOM announced that the coalition won the elections, Mr. Granger picked up the phone and said to Raphael, "It's Nassau all over again. This is what we agreed to in Nassau." So I don't know what they agreed, but certainly what the agreement contemplated was them winning government. Well, the two of them have gone to Brazil, and I am predicting that when they come back, Mr. Trotman will be appointed to some position, possibly the prime ministerial position, and that would be the end of Mr. Moses Nagamutu. We knew from the beginning that he didn't have long in the coalition anyhow, but I didn't anticipate that his end would have been so near. So you have that. We will wait and see what will take place when Mr. Trotman and the President return from Brazil. You will see Mr. Trotman will get some big appointment. I am predicting the position of Prime Minister may go to Mr. Trotman. After all, he is the leader of the AFC, so the Komingsberg Accord would be adhered to if he's appointed as the Prime Minister. Today, as I speak, there is an event that is being done by the Cheddi Jagan Research Institute at Red House, Georgetown. And that event is the launching of a stamp in the name of Dr. Cheddi Jagan. The Cheddi Jagan Research Institute, in discussions with the post office, identified a particular photograph, etc., and designed a stamp which will be issued as part of the centenary anniversary of Dr. Cheddi Jagan's birth. And the post office, as far as I have been instructed, has been paid for the stamp, and the stamp was supposed to have been delivered today, because there is a launching of the stamp. An event to launch the stamp is taking place as I speak at Red House in Georgetown. Well, when the Cheddi Jagan Research Institute officials went to the post office to uplift the stamp, they were told that they must make contact with the president. Can you believe that? The president has apparently held back the issuance of a stamp in memory of Dr. Cheddi Jagan. That is the country that we are living in. Recall 2 years ago, they were prepared to throw all Jagan's materials and Jagan's papers and Jagan's research work that are being housed in that building on the road. They were prepared to throw the entire organization on the road from Red House. I had to go to court and I got an order preventing them from interfering with the Cheddi Jagan Research Institute occupation of that premises, or else they would have been thrown out a long time ago. Well, guess what? At Burnham's death anniversary, at Burnham's birth anniversary, an event was held on the lawns of the State House by the President. That would have been on the 20th of February, thereabout. That's Burnham's birthday. And the President hosted an event on the lawns of the State House. And he said, and he repeated it 3 times, that Red House will be taken back. We will take back Red House. But he's calling it another name. He's calling it Kamana House. Apparently that was the house, that was the name of the building given to it by Burnham. So he said on 3 occasions during a speech to that gathering at State House, we will take back Kamana's house. We will take back Kamana House. And guess what? About a week after that, I received a notice that the Red House case will be fixed for trial. And tomorrow, I am going to the High Court to get a trial date for the Red House matter. Now, significantly, cases that I have filed since 2008, 2007 have not yet come up for trial. This is 2018. 10 years I filed these cases. They are not yet up for trial. But a case which I filed in 2016, December 2016, I think it's December 2016 or December 2015, I can't remember. I think it's December 2016. No, December 2015. A case that I filed in December 2015 is already up for trial. But cases that I filed in 2007 are not yet up for trial. Red House suddenly is up for trial. So I hope you understand the machinations that are taking place in the country, in the judiciary, in various arms of government. And that is what this government is obsessed with. It is not concerned that there are sugar workers numbering in the thousands who can get a job and can get a source of livelihood. They're not concerned about that. In fact, they are doing things to put various categories of workers on the bread line. They have been doing that systematically since they took government in 2015. I can begin. They started with the forestry workers. After they chased out Bai Shandling out of the country, the forestry industry has collapsed. And hundreds of persons, if not thousands, who used to work in the forestry sector are without jobs. Then they moved over to the miners. All the concessions that the PVP government were giving to the miners, concessions on vehicles, concessions on fuel, all of those concessions have been removed by this government. So the miners are facing serious problems. Then they moved across to the rice farmers. The lucrative market that we had in Venezuela, they destroyed. They destroyed the Petro-Caribbean arrangement and put the rice farm, and they have not been able, up to now, to get a substitute rice market for the rice farmers. In addition to that, they have raised the rates at MMA by some 1,500% or something like that. So you have, and they have revoked a number of leases, and we are challenging them in the court. So they have put the rice industry in problems. Rice farmers are facing a hell of a problem in this country. Then they moved over to the construction industry. The construction industry was booming before 2015 because of the housing drive of the PPP. And I've explained in this program several times how many persons get the job for when one house is created. Imagine when we distribute hundreds of house lots per year, how many jobs are created by those distribution of house lots, because the people are moving on to build their houses. They have stopped the housing program. They are building some kind of condominium nonsense, and they're giving people some box to live in. As a result of that, the construction industry is in chaos. People can't get carpenters and contractors and masons and so on, can't get work. So they have destroyed that. Now I see they have gone to the fishermen. They have, because of their failure to implement certain requirements that they were supposed to implement, fish now going to the United States are banned. Catfish, gilbaka, snapper, banga, and so on, that used to be exported, we can't export it anymore because the US has banned fish being imported from Guyana. So the fishing industry now, they have put into chaos. Then recently, you would have seen the scrap metal people crying out. Scrap metal, and hundreds of people earn a living in this country from exporting scrap metals. They stopped the exportation of scrap metals. Now those people are out of jobs. There's another couple hundred. Then they move over to the minibus drivers. They have revoked dozens of fitnesses last week or the other week because they claim that the minibus drivers have painted some kind of many different colors on their bus, and there are writings on the bus that the police find offensive. So minibus drivers now are in chaos. They are directed now to spray over their bus, and their fitnesses have been revoked. And I've just dealt with a couple of categories of workers that this government, for no apparent reason, have put into serious problems. And that is what they go around doing every day. Every single day, rather than build this country, they are finding ways and means of breaking it down. Now, at the beginning of the program, I said that I will have as my guest the chairman of Region Number 5, that is right across the Berbice River. He is here with us now, Vic Chan, and we will have a discussion with him in relation to what is taking place in that region. Now, you will note that over the past 2 or 3 years, this region has had a host of chaotic events whereby Mr. Chairman and his councillors have been prevented from carrying out their statutory duties and have been affected in their ability to discharge their deliver services to the people of Region 5. Chairman, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
How old are you, Chairman? Let's start with that.
I'm 35 years old.
35 years old. Now, this is an example of how the PPP operates. When you were appointed chairman, how old were you?
33 years old.
33 years old. There is no one holding a significant position in this government that is 33 years old. This gentleman is 35 years old. Now, when he got the position as chairman, he was 33 years old. That is the investment that we put in young people. When I was appointed Attorney General, I was about the youngest Attorney General in the entire world. When Mr. Bharat Jagdeo became president, he was about the youngest head of state in the entire world. The point I am making is that we gave young people a chance in the People's Progressive Party and in the People Progressive Party Civic Administration. And you have here an outstanding example. The Vice Chairman, Ryan Peters. Right?
He's much more younger. He's just about 33 years old.
And he has been vice chairman for how long?
Since 2011.
Since 2011, Ryan Peters has been the vice chairman. And Ryan Peters is only 30, how much?
He's about 33 years old.
He's now 33. And he has been vice chairman since 2011. So he was vice chairman of region number 5 since he was in his 20s. How old is the RU?
He is close to his 80s.
You see, the person who is causing most of the problem in the region is the REO, and he is in his 80s. If not 80, just about 80. That is the difference between the PPP and this government. This is a man who is a pensioner, who should be home looking after his grandchildren, and he is making himself a nuisance at the regional office. Now, you are the chairman, and you have how many PPP councillors?
We have 10.
10 PPP councillors. How many APNU councillors?
There are presently 7.
So you have a 10 and 7 ratio.
That's right.
So the PPP has a majority. Democracy dictates that the majority must govern, must be allowed to do their job, because decisions at the level of an organization like the council are made by votes. Just like how it is done in the parliament, it is done by votes. Imagine we are just one seat short, but we have to accept by vote everything that the government does. Here it is that we have 3 extra votes at the level of the regional administration for region number 5, but we are prevented from carrying out the functions of that office because of the authoritarian conduct and dictatorial behavior of 7 councillors, along with this 80-year-old man who is the regional executive officer. And he is simply a clerk of the council.
That's right.
A lot of people do not know that the REO is simply a clerk of the council. He is not the council. He simply is there to carry out instructions of the council. And this guy is power drunk, and he believes that he can overturn decisions made by the chairman and the 7 councillors. So I want you to explain to the viewers some of the problems that you are facing. Where is this lady, Carol Joseph, for example?
Well, she is no longer there in council because of her behavior and attitude and so on. She, I understand, was forced to resign. But now that she is gone, there is someone else who have picked up the same attitude, the same behavior, dictatorial behavior of that councillor. And this person, who is the regional executive officer and clerk of council, is causing us at the RDC not to execute our functions, our democratic functions. And the most recent example is last Thursday we had our statutory meeting. There, Mr. Ovid Morrison, who is the clerk of council,
And the REO.
had wanted to remove a Guyana Times reporter from the meeting because he alleged that the reporter disrespected him. But at no time the council had made such decision. And when I said that to Mr. Morrison, who was the clerk at the time, he refused to follow instruction. I told him that he cannot remove the reporter because council has not made such decision. What he forcefully went through, he called the police came in, and I said to the police that the council has not made such decision, and if she should remove the reporter, well then she will be indulging in something illegal. So the officer went away, and Mr. Ovid Morrison again was trying to engage maybe the commander and other officers of the Guyana Police Force to remove that particular reporter. And because he could have not get things done his way, he refused to come in the meeting and to execute his functions as clerk of council. And because of that, I was forced to adjourn the meeting. When the clerk is not there, well then our meeting cannot go through. He is the man with the responsibility to execute the decisions of the council. So again, our people has lost a golden opportunity from being represented at the council level. They had lost that opportunity from having the many issues, the problems and so on that are affecting them in the community being addressed at the council level.
And this man is an appointee of the minister.
Of course.
What is the minister's reaction to his behavior?
Well, the minister is fully aware of the REO's behavior, and I personally would have engaged him on this matter. And on to today, no action has been taken. We see that the REO continues to breach protocols, continues to respect council, continues to disrespect council and the people of Region Number 5.
But what is the problem? So he doesn't want a reporter to be at the meeting?
No, he is claiming that the reporter.
But who is this guy? Where he come from? Where is he from?
Well, I understand.
Is he from the region?
He is not from Region 5. He is out of the come from out of the region. Right?
Well, the people of Region 5 have to take a position. The people of Region 5 should physically throw him out of the place. Physically lift him up and throw him out of the place.
Right.
Because you and your council have control over that administration. And you cannot have, democracy does not allow a singular person to countermand and take control of that. That is tyranny. And I am calling on the people of Region 5. If this gentleman is affecting you from getting services done, well, deal with the situation. And I applaud the police for not lending their assistance to this man who seemed to be insane. Because I cannot imagine, I saw in the newspapers that the man asked, he basically put you out of the boardroom.
Yes, that was another unfortunate
I
situation.
can't imagine these things happening.
And let me just share this quickly with the viewers. We were addressing concerns of the security guards that were not paid for over 3 months.
How many persons?
The region employed, I think, is 285, somewhere around there. Security
Just
guards.
pause here. Imagine this man is affecting 285 families. It's not 285 guards, it's 285 families from getting a livelihood. And he's doing it for no reason, no sensible reasons. These 285 families must be allowed to come in the compound and deal with him.
Right, so many of these guards are single parents. And some of them would have related to me that they could have not sent their children to school for weeks because of the same situation, that they are not being paid and they cannot have money and so on to buy stuff for their children to go to school. And Comrade Anil, some of them would have engaged the regional executive officer and he refused to deal with the matter. And then when they came to me, he run them out, chase them out of the boardroom, tell them that he don't want them there, when I was trying to represent these people.
But why? What is it? Why? Why he doesn't want them there? Does the region not owe these people?
Of course, it's the company, right, that owe these people. But
and the company has to be paid by the region.
Exactly, right. So the region
so why
has
does
a say at the end of the day.
But why does he want to pay the people? Why does he want the region to pay the guards?
The region pay the company.
Yeah, yes. Okay, right? The region pay the company.
Right. So the company is refusing to pay the guards. However, the region plays an integral role.
Yes.
Right? Because at the end of the day, it's taxpayers' money we are expending.
That's
and
correct.
So we must engage our citizens and make representation on their behalf for them to be paid. But the REO does not care about the welfare of our people in region number 5. All that he cares about is his personal gains and those things. And then again, we lost a golden opportunity to address this same security matter, the non-payment of security guards, at the council's meeting, the same meeting that Mr. Morrison refused to sit in as the clerk because he could have not removed the Guyana Times reporter. We lost a golden opportunity there to address this matter.
But if this guy decides not to participate in a meeting, that is it, the meeting has to be called off. Somebody can't be substituted. And you ignore him completely?
Well, by law, he is the clerk of council, and if he's not there, he should appoint someone. And if he does not appoint, well then, he bluntly said that at the meeting.
That's what?
That once he does not come in, we cannot carry through our meeting. So he is actually holding the
so this
council
one
at
man,
ransom.
This one man who seemed to be mentally imbalanced is holding the entire regional administration at ransom.
That's right.
You know, sometimes I pray to God that I'm not in those situations because I don't know what I will do. That will not happen in any organization in which I am part. It will not happen. So, and the government does nothing about this.
Nothing. Because at one time, our Member of Parliament, Mr. Harry Gill, contacted the Minister of Labour and asked him to engage the security guards to have a meeting with them, and he refused. So the government is fully aware of this. They are fully aware, but they were not taking the right step to address the situation. And our people continues to suffer.
And I am hoping that the supporters of this government who live in Region 5 are looking at this program. This has nothing to do with politics. This has nothing to do with race and ethnicity.
That's right.
This has to do with good administration. This has to do with the delivery of services to the people of Region 5 by the regional administration. When this man, the clerk, Morrison, interferes with and hampers the ability of the regional administration to deliver services to the people of Region 5, it's not only PPP supporters are punishing or are affected, but it is every one of you who are affected. So I appeal to you, don't be blinded by political loyalty and look at this matter through a political lens. This is a man who seemed to have some kind of psychological disorder and who is taking advantage of the regional administration. And Chairman, I have to say so regrettably, because if I was the chairman, that would not have happened. That seriously would not have happened. Because I am the chairman of the regional administration, and a clerk is telling me that I must leave the boardroom of the regional administration. Oh my God. That would have happened. But you have to assert your authority And if it is that you need, and I'm saying this publicly, if it is that you need force, well then hire a private security company. Because you have a mandate of the people to discharge your functions. And if there are obstacles in your way that you are physically unable to deal with, there are security companies that provide armed security. And you are entitled to that. Your meetings are entitled to be conducted in an orderly manner. That's what the laws of this country says. And you have an obligation to ensure that the law is obeyed. Therefore, if there's any obstruction to your meetings that interferes with your ability to discharge your statutory function, then you have a duty to get enforcement to remove that obstacle.
We will have to look in that direction. Mr. Nanala, let me say that on many occasions, I would have engaged this individual on burning issues within our region. I would have engaged him not only verbally, but also in written. And he's still refusing to address all of these issues that I would have related to him. So we at the council level have been taking the right steps to address these matters that are affecting our people. But we are dealing with an individual who is stubborn, someone who do not cares for our people, someone who do not respect the people of Region Number 5 and our council, has no respect for the law and authority. But this is the kind of individual we're dealing with. And I do believe we have to take matters, further.
You have to.
We have to look
you have to do
legal.
A series of things. One, consider the advice that I've just given you in getting a security to allow you to perform the functions of your office. Secondly, you need to get the people involved, the people of Region 5. You need to hold community meetings right across the region so that the people know that when a trench can be dug, when a drain can be cleaned, when a coker is blocked and can be unblocked, when the rice fields are flooded, the reason why is because of Morrison.
Exactly.
The people must know, but the people must understand that. That it is not you or the regional administration, but it is a singular obstacle that is causing them to lose millions of dollars in rice crops and causing their life to become intolerable. That's one. Two, you also need to engage the press almost every week. Hold a press conference every week and report to the nation the behavior of this man. And let us see how long the government will continue to tolerate him. The longer the government tolerates him, it's better, because the people will see the type of government that we have in office.
Well, they do know about his behavior. And coming back to the issues with the trenches and so on, let me say that most of the drainage and irrigation structures that are controlled by the RDC are in a deplorable state in the region.
And why is the region not fixing it?
Because we cannot have our meetings to address these issues, and then Mr. Morrison is taking the money and expend it in other areas that, he wants to, without consulting with council.
But this man is the clerk. He can only carry his whole purpose is to carry out the decisions of the council. He is the executive officer. He has to execute. That's how the word executive comes. He's the regional executive officer. What that means, he is the regional officer charged with the responsibility of executing the decisions of the council. He has no authority to spend money based upon his own decisions. He can only spend money based upon decisions of the council.
That's right.
And so when you make decisions, like to clean, so give some examples so that the people of the region can understand.
For example, in the Mahaika-Maikoni area, previously that area was controlled by, not controlled, but MMA used to do the work in those areas because the money will come to the region, and then the region will warrant those funds to MMA. But recently, there was they reversed that that decision, and now the region is controlling the money. For the past year and a half, there was very little maintenance work that were done in these areas, the Mahaica-Mahaicony areas, and most of the canals and the trenches and so on are clogged with weed. And if at any time we should have heavy rainfalls, the farmers will experience flooding in those areas. Let me just share quickly.
But I want you to make the point. Why is it that they're not being cleaned?
Because the regional executive officer is utilizing the funds in other areas or for other projects, which he's not making it clear to council. He's not coming forward with financial reports. He's not coming forward with any of the spendings and so on. Right? So we don't know exactly where is he spending the money monies that were as budgeted for the Mahaica-Mahaicony area.
And are the people in Mahaica-Mahaicony aware?
Yes, they are. Most of them, I will say, because we have been meeting with residents in those areas, farmers and so on, and tell them what is going on. Because on a daily basis, I will receive more than 2 to 3 phone calls. Right?
But another measure that you should consider adopting is to move this gentleman. The council cannot have confidence in an officer of this performance.
Never.
And therefore, you have to move a no confidence motion against him.
Yes.
You have 8, how many persons on your side?
We have 10.
You have 10. So the next
Against
meeting that you have, you move a no confidence motion against him and let the region see and the nation sees that you do not have, the regional administration has no confidence in this officer. And let us see how long the government will continue to put a person to frustrate the regional administration. I have been signaled that my time is up. Chairman, you have to come back on this program,
sure.
And we have to continue. This discussion is very, very interesting, and I am sure what you are disclosing here, a lot of the people in your region and elsewhere are not aware of. And these are the forums which are available to you, and you need to ventilate and get these matters out in the public domain. So, a couple of things: the no confidence motion, the security that I advised, and the public meetings. Even if they are small meetings, go into the community where there is a blockage and you can't fix it, and the reason why you can't fix it is because Morrison has taken the money and did something else with it. You go and you tell the people that, so that the people would be aware. And I call on all the residents of Region 5, please understand what is going on. Let us stop playing politics and get the regional administration to discharge their responsibilities to you, the residents. I don't live in the region. It is for your benefit and it's in your best interest that the regional administration be allowed to deliver services. Two seconds wrap up, and we have to close.
All right, let me thank you again very much for having me on this program, and I promise the viewers that I will be back again, because there are many issues which I have to raise at this forum. And there are many things that I have to share with the viewers out there of what is happening in region number 5 and how our people are being deprived from the services that are being offered by the Regional Democratic Council, region number 5.
Thank you, Comrade Chairman, and certainly an invitation is open to you. Whenever it is convenient, please let us resume this discussion. It has been very enlightening, I'm sure, for me and as well as all those who are looking on the television as well as on Facebook. Once again, it's a pleasure to have been with you over the last hour, and I bid you goodbye until next week stay safe, stay healthy, and those my Hindu brothers and sisters, continue to pay your homage and worship at the feet of Mother Durga for the next few days. Thank you very much.
Thank you.